Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a great day today. This episode was very, very emotional. Um, if you have watched it already, I'm sure you have shed some tears throughout this episode. If you have not watched it, be prepared to shed a couple of tears. And yeah, it was just very emotional for me. I definitely cried, definitely in the beginning, and definitely towards the end of this episode. But let's get right into it. Let's just get started. This is The Shy, Season 6, Episode 7, Long Live. All right. So, first things first, we start this episode with Papa. He's at their church and he appears to be by himself. Um, Obviously, throughout this episode, Papa, is very emotional, and as he should be because he just lost his father. They, did not leave on good terms, far as their last conversation, which we could see in the previous episode. Papa was thinking a lot about it at the party after graduation. And yeah, so throughout this episode, like I said, Papa's just very emotional. And he's kind of giving everybody a little bit of, some hard truths. Even though, most people say hurt people, you can tell he's very hurt and they're just kind of spilling out. Whether that be Bakari, letting Bakari know that Pastor Stanley is not his, obviously biological father. That's not his dad. That's Papa's dad. And just letting him know, like, he was the one that lost his father. Bakari did not, and because word on the street is that, obviously Judah's goons, somebody killed Pastor Stanley. I think it was Nuck, I believe. I'm not sure if we figured that out. Really don't know. But, yeah. So Bakari does feel really bad about that. And, Papa also does let Kenya know that that was one of the conversations that he did have with his dad about her and how, they just should not be together. And he's realizing that now, that he is not ready for that kind of responsibility dealing with her and her son. So it was just a little bit like, dang. I think moving forward, we may see a whole different side of Papa. And it's really sad because he's always had his dad to lean on, especially in advice and good advice, sound advice. Even if his dad, as he's reminded him so many times, he is not one from fault. And even though he's made his decisions and, Pastor Stanley has done the things that he has did, or done. Sorry, that's kind of weird. He's done things he's done. He, still gives really good advice, whether that's to Papa, Victor, etc. The community. He was that community figure, that good versus evil, that light versus dark. Pastor Stanley, Duda. In the community where everybody can lean on and just go to church and hear that good word. So, yeah, I'm interested to see who's going to be doing sermons now, and also if we're still going to implement the church throughout the rest of the season. I wonder what will go on with that. But yeah, so throughout this episode, we really do see Papa kind of just letting people know he just wants to be left alone. In the beginning of the episode, we see Kevin and Jake come to the church to comfort Papa, and he just kind of is like, I want to be left alone. Even when he's talking to Kenya and he tells her what he tells her, again, it's just that vibe of leave me alone. And so I'm just interested to see how he's going to grieve, and how he's going to deal with everything and handle everything. Because throughout every season, I think each one of these characters, well, specifically the boys, the kids, Jake, Kevin, and Papa, have all now dealt with death in their own sense, in their own way, and have experienced it. Because with Kevin, he obviously witnessed Coogie, then there was Ronnie, and then there was Brandon officially, being at a funeral. And then there was, oh my gosh, Oh, and his dad, going to his dad's funeral as well. And so having to deal with all those emotions. Oh my gosh, Kevin's been through a lot as well. And then there was Jake, and having to deal with. I mean, there was Reg for Jake. I'm trying to remember if there's another important figure that Jake has had to deal with their death. I can't remember it other than Reg. But, yeah, I don't know. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then obviously now Papa, he's lost someone as well. So, yeah. In this episode also we have Bakari, who I love to see Ahmad Ferguson acting because he has such a great range in his acting abilities. We see him on Power Book 4 Force, and then also we see him on this, show The Chi, and his just range of acting is amazing. He's a phenomenal actor. So shout out to Ahmad Ferguson and actually just the whole cast of The Chi because they're just all like really great actors. But yes, his range in this episode and just seeing him crying and just being super emotional. It's like, oh my gosh, sometimes you forget that he killed Ronnie in broad daylight and he's done so much stuff because it's like, I don't know, he's like a little brother, a little cousin, a little nephew or whatever. Like, he's just all these things to anybody at this point because, like, you just want to kind of pull him in and just, like, you feel bad. Then he does stuff also at the same time where you're just like, come here. Like, like, we're humanizing him more because when he first, obviously killed Ronnie, it was just like, oh, Bakari, he got in the fight at the, I forgot what the community center is called, but when he got in the fight there against another neighborhood kid, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And then the stuff that he's been doing this season a little bit, but also trying to, trying to go on the right path, it's just like, oh my gosh, you either want to be really mad at him or you want to be like, aw, like he's really going through it. But then again, they're all like going through it this season. So like I said, he was with Papa at the church. After that, Papa said what he said, and he kind of goes to the auto shop, the chop shop, and he confronts Nuck. Nuck basically lets him know, like, if you're gonna do it, but be prepared to also lose your life because Zay is right here and he's going to, shoot you as well. I still can't stand Zay. I don't know, ever since he just came across my screen, I was just like, he hurts my nerves real bad. And so, like, he really does. And then again, it's just like, okay, crap. That is true. Like, you do have to realize the bigger picture is Douda. And at this point, again, like I said in my previous videos, everybody needs to be all hands on deck when taking out Douda. It can't just be one person by themselves or each of them, everybody just going at it with each other, trying to take each other out. It's just not gonna. Because then what happens at that point? You're still gonna have Douda standing. And like Pastor Stanley said in the previous episode when he was still living, somebody has to take Douda out. Like, that's who the focus should really be on. And, again, with me watching this episode and just knowing back in, I think, season 3 or 4, I think it was season 3, when Nuck tried to approach Jake and, like, basically kill Jake because I think he thought Jake was Trig and he's not. He wasn't Trig / Victor. It was Jake in Trig's truck. And Bakari comes up behind Nuck and was ready to shoot him, and that's when Nuck realized they needed to recruit Bakari because if he was willing to do it and he knows Bakari would have taken him out that day right on the spot with no hesitation, then yeah. So I'm like, Nuck, don't be all cocky and full of yourself because, like, as you said in like 3 seasons ago, if Bakari wants to, he really would do it. Like, he would do it with no hesitation. And so I wonder if that is going to happen this season, if Bakari will end up taking out Nuck. It's random, but I just, then again, it might not happen because, he didn't pull the trigger. So I'm like, you're like Emmett at this point. You guys are like so amped up and so like ready to go, and then you guys don't do anything. So it's just like, okay. My notes are over here, but yeah. we have Keisha and Emmett. They're arguing as usual. I don't know. It sucks because when they weren't together, they just seemed so much happier. There was like little flirtatious moments here and there, and like, oh, we need to be together. Come to realization moment. Like we should just try to see where this will go. Now that they are together, it's just like issue after issue after issue, and blaming one another that we're not really getting the happy moments that I think all of us thought we would get. And it's like, I don't know if they rushed into moving in with one another. And I think that's probably what Nina was saying in episode 2 or 3. Like, are you sure you're ready for this? You're not married. You both have children. And you're just all making these really big decisions, these grown adult decisions really fast without any thought, without communicating with your village, your people around you, who have been here for you pretty much all your lives. And not only that, with communicating with each other and really being sure, like, are we even sure about each other before we make these commitments and these big moves? So we're seeing that just kind of unfolding, and Keisha wanting to leave again, and then, Emmett being like, no, little EJ, coming downstairs, getting, in the middle of it, like, what's going on, and then them kind of sending him back upstairs, and Keisha just, the resolution is that she'll be staying in the guest room. And then we see Keisha texting, and obviously we segue into her meeting up with Nuck because that's who she was texting, and them kind of having a conversation. And not only that, we realize, well, we know Keisha knows that Nuck is basically like, he has a soft spot for her. I think everybody can see it. Emmett can see it. Dudok can see it. He brings it up later in this episode. Even Keisha, just watching the episode and seeing like the eyes she was giving him, like kind of manipulating a little bit of the situation, with far as telling him to look out for not only her, but to also look out for Emmett as well, and just kind of looking him in the eyes like, would you do that for me? Like, please, Nuck. Like, girl, Keisha. Keisha, oh Keisha, like, there's a song, yeah, that's where I was going with that, but, I can't sing, so I don't know why I try to hit that note, sidebar, but yeah, like, I was just looking at her like, Keisha, oh Keisha, like, girl, you do have Nuck basically wrapped around your finger. I think she knows that. She wouldn't have texted him if she didn't, and she knows Nuck will pretty much do anything for her, especially when it comes to protecting her, because he does still feel guilty, as he stated, I already apologized for it. Even when at the housewarming party, he mentioned, like, it's always been something that has been on his mind, and, yeah, so, yeah. We do have Keisha, obviously, still in therapy, and we, kind of get into her therapy sessions. In this episode, I'm going to kind of, like, bounce around a little bit, but the therapist basically touches on the relationships in Keisha's life, unhealthy ones specifically as well, and, her childhood, and just, like her parents and everything, and just coming to the realization that her mom was the very first person to actually break her heart, which was, it's sad, but it's truthful. That happens in a lot of households, and a lot of things go unsaid, or they're pretty much either said or they're not said, but it's pretty vocal, like it's loud. The situation, whatever it is loud, and it's speaking for itself, essentially. We also do talk about her dad. I remember when her dad passed away, it was, I gotta stop saying, sorry guys. It was, a moment where I think even Emmett was just like, wait a minute, what's this obituary? Who is that? And because I think they're about to hook up, and she's like, oh, that's just my dad. But, he was like, I can't do this. I can't have sympathy sex with you, like, no, that's not gonna work. We could just lay here. I could just hold you. We don't have to do anything. And, you could see that there is just some emotion there. Even, I think, at the funeral when I believe her dad's sisters were talking to her. And, they were really rude to Nina, but they were more like, come on, Keisha, let's go, And, Yeah, so now it's like later in seasons that we are getting more of a backstory with that, and just realizing that like she grew up in a traditional household, um, never saw her parents argue, which was ironic in the simple fact that the therapist was like, that's good for children to see their parents arguing or having some kind of disagreements, because when they have issues and conflict in their life, they will be able to handle it, or know how to deal with it. And so I thought that was pretty ironic in and of itself, because her and Emmett were just arguing in front of little EJ, even though they told him to, like, everything's cool, it's fine, go back to your room, kind of thing. So yes, and later in this episode, we do get Nina in the therapy session, because the therapist wanted Nina to join the therapy session as a form of like um, Keisha healing and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting, because I don't know if anybody noticed that they're kind of dressed similar, except for Nina has her whole jean outfit going on, and Keisha's dressed a little different, but their jackets, like their shirts, everything down to a T is pretty much similar, except for the hairstyles and stuff, and the fact that they're on two opposite ends of the couch. I just thought that that was kind of like a mirroring thing to me, in my opinion. If anybody else picked up on it, just let me know. Because that's just something that kind of came to mind when I was watching the episode. I was like, wow, they're kind of dressed similar. And it's funny because Keisha's been thinking about like all these different things as she's talking about it, and realizing like, oh my gosh, I've been acting like my mom. So to see them kind of dressed similar was just like, dang, like it's almost as if she's become her mom but doesn't want to say that. And then it's just now realizing like I have some really serious similar traits and characteristics of my mom that are like, oh, like wait a minute, like you kind of go hard on her for that, but then you're realizing like I'm mirroring her in a sense. I'm picking up on some of these things. So I thought that was pretty interesting in and of itself. We have Victor. He is in his office and he's just looking out of the window and just realizing like, okay, the community is in uproar. They are panicking. Everybody's shook because Pastor Stanley is, gone. We need to do something, a candlelight visual, something. We need to show the community we're here for them, even though we're all grieving and we're mourning and etc. But we're also here for each other. And so, Quincy agrees, which is a really good idea, because that, as a leader, that is definitely a good look. But also somebody being close to Pastor Stanley, somebody needs to do it. And just bring everybody together to let them know that there is hope, there's somebody here for you, and this is not going to go unhandled and, undiscussed, pretty much. Or, we're not going to not talk about it. We're going to gather and come together, work together. So, yeah. We also have Emmett and Darnell. They're basically just talking about the whole situation. I love Darnell because he's like, I've always been Team Keisha, which I think is hilarious. And basically, Emmett is just basically letting Darnell know, this is what happened earlier. Keisha tried to leave me. Darnell's like, why? But they already know it's Duda. And I love the fact that Darnell is all hands on deck. And it's kind of like taking those bits and pieces that you learned from therapy groups with all the men and really saying, how can I help you? Let's not keep talking about it. Like, what do we need to do to get you out of this situation? And basically, Emmett's like, we need to pay off Duda. And Darnell was like, okay, that's a start. How much? I don't know. Find out. Come back to me. Let's get this on a motion, because you can't lose your family over this or your life over this. It's not worth it. Sorry. I love ice cold water. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's just not worth it. Let's do what we need to do. All right. So the kids. When it comes to the kids, I love the kids. I just call them the kids, even though they're like all 18, grown now. But we get Gemma and Myasia. I feel like Tiara is definitely rubbed off on Gemma, because I'm seeing some very similar style choices here and a little bit of attitude. Gemma comes late to Myasia's studio session. Myasia's already ticked off about it because she's actually taking it serious, And I don't know if it's because of Brittany Bakari's sister from last episode or what, but she's taking it serious. She's ready, So they're going back and forth between the, glass of like working with one another. Because Gemma basically lets her know I had another meeting, which is basically with Brittany. She has the EP coming out. I'm probably going to back that as well, work with her. And my agent's like, how are you going to do that? And you can't even handle working with me. You're not getting me any deals. You're not doing anything for me. And so she's just like, oh, well, um, let's start recording. And so my agent really puts her grit, her all, that they've been looking for this whole time into the song, into the rap. And Gemma's just like, okay, and yeah, what's funny about this is that Gemma later on goes and talks to Jake about this as she's doing his hair, and he's just like, yeah, Brittany sounds like everybody else on the radio. Pump the brakes. Focus on Myasia. You've been focusing on this whole time because you don't have time to be trying to juggle and do all this extra stuff. And you better make sure that if you're trying to work with Brittany, that it's just business. And he gets upset because I think he can peep that there was something going on last episode between the two, and he's just like, what I said is what I said. What's said is said. What's done is done. Focus on Myasia. In a discussion, I'm out, basically. I don't think he really cares for Brittany. But Gemma being Gemma and her history, I just know that she doesn't care. I believe she's going to really focus on Brittany as well. And there may be something that happens between the two, which would suck. But again, how Jake got her is how Jake got her. And if something does end up happening with her and Brittany, I would not be surprised. But yeah. Also in this episode, we do have Emmett and Kevin kind of meeting and them sharing a moment, a little brotherly love, little brotherly bond. Because, Kevin did admit, Emmett, you've been here this whole time. You're like a brother to me, because he is packing up to get ready to head to LA. It's crazy because I was like, dang, y'all just graduated about a week ago. This is crazy. But it just, I guess he's ready to get the heck out of there and start his new career path, start his life post high school. So I was like, wow. I don't know why I just thought it was going to be a while, maybe towards the end of the season. But no, Kevin's packing up. He's ready to get on with himself. So it's a little bit sad because, like, oh my gosh, I hope we see him, more in episodes and stuff. But again, we'll see. But it's also really exciting because, you just have no choice but to think about Keisha and her life a little bit, of how she wasn't able to do that, as far as going off to college in LA, I believe, in California, out of state. I think Pepperdine, if I'm not mistaken, but Kevin is. And so, you just have no choice but to root for him and just hope, like he said, the Chi will go with him wherever he goes. So yeah. We have Rashad and Deja. They're asleep on the couch. Obviously, they stayed up late, watched a movie, fell asleep on the couch. Somebody's breaking into Deja's house, or their house. And Rashad, he gets up, goes to his stash of guns, pulls out a gun, tries to, shoo off the person. Deja wakes up and she's pissed because she's really, like, rooting for Rashad and thinking that he's changed his ways. She doesn't know that he deals with Duda or works with him sometimes. She didn't know prior to this day about the stash of guns, and she still doesn't know about Tierra. So one thing at a time, which was obviously the guns this time, and she told him to get it out of here or she's gonna kick him out, because you can still tell that hurt her. I'm assuming they're probably gonna discuss it next episode, but that did hurt because, like, she's been rooting for him, and he's just like, I haven't backslid, I'm not doing anything wrong, it's just, and she's like, it didn't help us anyway, somebody still tried to break in, so get it out of my house or I'm kicking you out. And obviously he goes back and he gives the bag back to the sender, which is Bakari, and now it's Bakari's issue, and he's just gonna have to deal with it. So Rashad did lie and say there was nothing else he needed to tell her, which he did. He still does. So we'll see if he will open up, because I'm pretty sure she will ask him again, like, to tell her the truth, or I just think he'll probably just come out and tell her, for the sake of not wanting to lose her, because I don't know why lie at this point. Just be honest. Um, and prior to Rashad even coming, because he comes to the funeral home, Bakari and Papa share a really sweet moment. Bakari has just been shedding so many tears this season. It's like, oh my gosh. And them just bonding over the fact that Papa, even though he said earlier, obviously, that Pastor Stanley is not Bakari's biological father, that's not his dad, it's Papa's. He lets him know, like, you were like a son to him, so all in all, it's like, I'm sorry. We were both, like Bakari said in the opening scene, I'm just as upset as you, like, I'm hurt that, basically his mess kind of came to Pastor Stanley. I was going to say Papa Stanley either way, but yeah, Pastor Stanley. And they just share a moment of, like, what would he be saying to us right now? Look how you're dressed. Why are you in a suit and tie? Just different things. And it was cute, because Bakari was really just heartbroken, and just crying over Pastor Stanley while he's in his casket, which is just like, I want to say we would think Bakari learned his lesson, because like I said, Rashad does come and brings him the bag of guns. And where does Bakari go? Not a playground, not a park, not the woods, somewhere anywhere but Nina and Dre's. And whose room does he go to? Lene's. I'm like, Lene, girl, this close. Like, I am trying to hold on hope for her too, because Jamal has warned her, everybody has warned her, and I'm like, you guys got pulled over during or after prom. You already probably have a record or something on a file of the fact that you were in a stolen vehicle and with Bakari, and just because you're a minor, you kind of got off on it. And now you have Bakari kind of coming to you, which also, consequence of that was being on punishment. Now Bakari's coming back to you to hand you the bag of guns that was his responsibility to get rid of a long time ago, not your responsibility to hide it or do anything for him. And you already had that conversation with Jamal, you had the conversation with Bakari of, you're not going to jail for him, you're not getting in trouble for him, but you're biting your words at this point because you already were on punishment. What's next? If they kick you out the house, where are you going to go? We don't even know where Jamal lives at this point. So it's just like, I'm like, Bakari, you got one more. Come on, Nate. Come on, Nate. Like, he always says that. It makes me laugh because I'm like, you got one more in you. Come on, Nate. Like, one more. Come on, Nate. Like, oh my gosh. Every time something happens, he's like, come on, Nate. Like, if you thought I had somewhere to go, like, I don't, like, I wouldn't be here. I'm like, like, oh my gosh. And she falls for the come on nays every time. I remember when they were in, I'm sorry, it's it's so funny to me because when they were in Nina and Dre's kitchen after the housewarming party and they broke up, and he comes in there with the trolleys and the Cheetos, and she basically was like, no, he was like, I'm just trying to get off Papa's couch. And she's like, how long is that going to take? And he was like, I don't know. And, she was just like, that's not a good answer. He's all like, come on, Nay. Like, I'm like, one more, come on, Nay. Like, oh my gosh. Bakari, like, it's hilarious because Bakari to me is funny sometimes, but I'm like, you got one more of those in you before. I don't know. It's so hard to like pick up for both of them because it's like they're such good kids, but the decisions is just like, I mean, we've all been there. We made some dumb choices, but Bakari, Nina's pretty strict. That, I don't even know if Linnea is still on punishment because she was at the party, but still, like, she was just on punishment because of the whole after prom situation. And now you're bringing it to her room. And even she said it, like, why are you going to bring something that could get me in trouble? And you're not letting her look in the bag. I don't know if that's for her safety or whatever, so she won't be like, oh, she knew about it kind of thing. But the first place parents look is always the closet or under the bed, especially if your room's a mess, which it never looks like she keeps her room messy. But still, if they're looking for a jacket or looking for something, even Lene just looks like anybody could forget, like, oh, somebody's in your room, like, oh, I'll go get it for you, and you're like, oh, it's in my closet, and then you're like, crap, like, you don't realize, you said something until it's too late, and someone's like, what is this, or I found this, or we need to talk, then it's like, oh, shoot, like, she could literally forget she has something in the closet, so in my head, I'm like, unless he comes back through her window, I'm like, Bakari, also, that's another thing that, like, irked me with Bakari, because I'm like, Bakari, I don't know if me and Andrea were downstairs or what, or if he just used to coming through the window, but have some decorum, some respect. Come through the front door. Like, out of respect for Lene, like, why would you do that? Like, just come through the front door, like, anyways, he came through the window. That's neither here nor there, but it's still like whatever. Because to me, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna come back for it again since he's hiding it at Lene's, which I'm like, you need a better hiding spot. But like I said, I don't know if he's gonna come back for it, but it's just like, are you gonna climb through the window and get caught climbing through her window? Because how are you gonna play that off if Nina and Dre are in there, or one of them's in there, or they're all in there having a conversation with her? Like, how do you play that off? Because then you're gonna get her in trouble again. So it's just like, how do you expect to get it back? Like, I don't know. It's just so much, so many questions. I don't know how this is all gonna turn out. Does not look good for either one of them right now, because I'm like, Bakari, wherever you go, your mess goes with you, so you need to figure out a way to deal with it. At this point, you need to be like Emmett and Darnell and coming up with the solution to get from up under Douda, or just figure out a better place to put the guns. I don't know. I was like, I'm sure there's so many places in the Chi, an abandoned warehouse, something, somewhere, like, sorry, like, I don't know. I be thinking about these things, but, yeah. Moving on, Jake and Victor have a moment. Jake, he kind of pieces together the puzzle about what went on between Douda and Victor. Victor realizes Jake is not stupid, he's smart, and that, Jake pretty much tells Victor, we need you on the outside. You don't need to be in the jail cell. You don't need to be in jail. The community needs you, and you can't do much because you would be gridlocked behind bars. We need you out here. It's not the time for that. So don't tell anyone. But I'm like, the kid who everybody keeps doubting has the most sense, okay? Because even Rosalind told you a long time ago about not telling anybody, and I was just speaking with my aunt about this. Victor's playing telephone at this point. You're telling this person, you're telling that person. Somebody might get the story mixed up. You're telling different versions of the story, or not telling the whole story like you told Jake, who pretty much figured it out. It's just like, I don't even know how this is gonna end for them either at this point. We also have Victor meeting up with Fatima's friends. I do not remember their names, but I like how one of them is really positive and just like, yeah, like, I'm rooting for you and Fatima, and the other one is just like, no, like, does not care for Victor at all, really overprotective of Fatima, and I don't know, Victor really wants to start a family with Fatima, who he tells her that later on in the episode, like, I want to start a family with you. She's a bit taken back because I think even at the housewarming party, well, afterwards, she did say, like, it's only been a few months since they've been dating, and he asked her to move in. Now he wants to start a family, which it kind of mirrors a little bit from the relationship he had with Imani, except for this one is more progressing. It's showing more progression and stuff like that. With Imani, she obviously did not want to be with him anymore. She left him, never came back. And so, yeah, I don't know if he was yearning for that because he didn't have that with Imani, so now he's trying to do that with Fatima. But Fatima was like, yeah, I'll think about it, why not? But at the same time, I'm just like, obviously we'll see, where things go with them. I am happy for them because it's a little bit of positivity that we do need on the show. So it's all good. They're such a beautiful couple. We get into Douda, Zay, and Nuck. They're playing chess. Chess. And Douda says something to Nuck about not relying on his pawn to do the job for him, and, you know, you're gonna have to sacrifice your queen, because, like, everybody can see, Nuck still has a soft spot for Keisha. He even said, you know, Duda said that I can see it about, like, 10 miles away, your whole weakness is. And so Nuck was just like, crap. But I'm like, you don't have poker face. So, yeah. Crap is right. Okay. Zay is smirking. I can't stand that. And I would, if I was Nuck, watch out for Zay in all means. Because anytime Duda praised Nuck, Zay was just looking like with the stink face, like, oh, I want to play, you can't play, it's a man's game, you know, incentive, I get it, you're not ready for it. Oh, I'll just teach myself. Yeah, you're not ready. Okay, that's not how you play. And I'm just, it looks like he just kind of wants to take his spot. He doesn't like that. He wants to be Duda number 2, and it's just like, he's very like a brown noser to me. And if I was Nuck, even Nuck kind of peeped it and gave him a look, especially when he mentioned Keisha in a subliminal way of, you know, the queen, and Zay was just smirking and laughing, and he gets up when Duda gets up. Still wet behind the ears, as Duda said, and just, he rubs me the wrong way. A lot. The interesting part about what Duda said is because at the funeral, before Papa gets up to speak, Duda had the nerve to get up and go towards the casket, almost in arm's reach where he can touch Pastor Stanley casket. Mrs. Stanley gets up, and she was just like, goodbye, you're dismissed. And he was like, oh, I didn't kill your husband. And she was like, you may have not done it, but you got one of your pawns to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so ironic, because he just said that to Nuck like a few scenes ago about getting his pawns to do stuff for him. So I was like, well, she told you. No. And, you know, obviously Duda gets up and he walks away. Well, he was already up, but, you know, he basically walks off with Nuck looking back. He looks a little bit like he's feeling guilty. Probably not, but he gets up, you know, I don't know why I keep saying he gets up. He walks away. He walks off. That was that. But I thought that was interesting how she said you get one of your pawns to do it, because it's the same conversation that Duda just had with Nuck. It was really, like, sad, because it was Papa's turn, and, you know, sidebar, Kenya does show up for the funeral, and I'm pretty sure she realized Papa was hurting when he said the things he said, so I wonder how their relationship is going to go moving forward. But Papa gets up, and I cried. I was like, oh my gosh. Because I can only imagine as a child doing that and just being so young, even at that. And your father being like that father figure for you. And not only that, is your parent. It's just your family. It's just so many different emotions, having to be the one to say the eulogy and speak at the funeral. All in all, I've been to funerals, who hasn't, but it's just so emotional. I can't imagine having to be somebody that has to have a part as far as getting up and saying something, because I would be bawling my eyes out, and I would be like, I can't do it, like, oh my gosh. Or you just have to pull yourself together. And I was really happy because Jake and Kevin get up to comfort him and just be there for him, and it's just really emotional what he was saying. And yeah. And then, you know, obviously we get to the burial part and him throwing the dirt on Pastor Stanley's casket as it's being lowered, or as it's already been lowered into the ground, and just seeing his mom and him sitting next to her. And now Papa has to be the man of the household and really be there for his mom. And it's just like taking on different roles now. I don't know why my voice just got like, because it always makes me want to cry all over again, because you just have to think about it. It's like a domino effect. And I don't know if any of the characters had said that about being a domino, but it literally is like a domino effect. I don't remember if Papa said that to Bakari about his mess or things following him, or he knew about it being one of Bakari's boys, homeboys, or whatever, which, you know, you got Nugzig and, you know, Duda, the crew that he hangs with. And so it's just sad, because now Papa can no longer be a kid or have that role as a child, even though he is still a child. He has to now be the man of the house. He has to now step in and stuff like that. And it's just like, Yeah. So the episode is pretty much over. It was a really emotional episode. Um, we have the mid-season finale next week, and I'm interested to see what is going to happen. I have seen the preview. Um, Again, sometimes I know there's trailer manipulation, so sometimes what we think could happen or what's going on, it's just like, oh, I knew it, or I think we do see like Keisha getting in Nuck's car. So, but she's also arguing with Emmett, or they're having a conversation. So I don't know if maybe Emmett and Keisha kind of come up with a plan to distract Nuck, or what. It looks like we see Rob in the back of a car, and by the actual trailer of this season, I think that they end up shooting at. It looks like Nuck and Duda, but I don't know. Everybody's saying it's Victor driving, but it looks like it could be Jamal to me, which would be kind of random, but not really. I don't know, because he could be going on behalf of Bakari. But at the same time, like I don't know why he would be there either, because it's like you're getting yourself in trouble all over again, and then you'd be back. It'd be like a whole disappointment, a whole thing for Lene as well. So I don't know who's driving, but that's just my assumption. My little early prediction for that. I'm thinking everybody comes up with a plan. They realize Keisha is a weakness for Nuck, so they're probably going to use Keisha to get to Nuck. Maybe probably go out or let his guard down so he's not around Duda. I don't know how you would get Zay out the picture. I'm still not figuring that out. I think in the trailer too, it looked like Zay may have done something, because I think Duda was kind of jacking him up. So we do see Kevin looks like he's hugging Nina, so he may be getting ready to leave. It looks like Victor's hugging somebody. I can't remember the whole specific trailer for episode 8. But I'm excited for this upcoming week. I'm excited to see what happens. And yeah, so I just hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. I hope this upcoming week is amazing. We are getting ready for fall. One of my favorite seasons. I'm excited. We are zooming right through this month and right through this year. Like, we're almost in October, which is like mind-boggling to me. But I'm excited. I'm really ready. I don't know why. I just have this really good, like, super excited energy about myself right now. And I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for this upcoming week, the rest of this month, the rest of this year. Like, I'm just really excited, and I hope everybody's excited as well, and everybody's doing good. If you all do not mind doing me a favor, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Dang, I keep saying I'm sorry. I had a great time talking to everybody about this episode. It was a very emotional episode. This season has been wonderful. I was trying to keep my video under 50 minutes, or maybe like under 40 minutes, because I don't want to be too long and too wordy, but I just love discussing the episodes. So yeah, if you just do me a favor, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as I said, and keep tuning in. I love when people just watch my videos. Makes me happy, and I just love that everybody keeps coming back. So yeah, all right, have a good weekend and a great week. Bye.